Hello and welcome to another Squeaky Chimp tutorial, and for today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these, which are paper beads that have been burnt, and I've posted pictures onto Facebook and Instagram, and I've had a lot of people asking me how I have made them, and I know that there are some other bead artists that have also done beads that have been burnt, and so hopefully they will comment below so that you can have a little look at their work. They're quite similar to some other beads that I produced last weekend, which again I've put on social media, but these ones I've done with one of those pyro pens which came with different attachments on, so similar. And that kind of got me thinking of what else I could do. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the bits and pieces that you are going to need in order to make them. So you're going to need some paper in order to roll some beads. So I will roll some beads up in a minute so that we've got some ready. I have got some of the paper that I have used for these beads left over, so I've probably got enough for one more bead. And then I rolled this bead yesterday with this paper, which has come from a children's book, which someone was getting rid of in the skip because it was a bit broken. And I rolled this bead and I thought actually these would be quite good with a slight singed effect to it. So I'm going to roll a set of beads with this paper, and you're going to need glue. You'll obviously need your paper bead roller of your choice. This particular one is 2.5 millimeters. You're going to need a glaze of your choice, and I am going to be using either triple thick or decopatch, I'm not sure. You will need a paintbrush and you will need a cup of water to be on the safe side. When doing anything to do with flames, you're going to need some cocktail sticks to hold your beads on if you are a painter like I am, and you're going to need some kind of tool, whether it could be a knitting needle or some needle nose pliers. These are really old, but these are perfect for the job because you're going to need to hold your bead whilst you are applying the flames, and you don't want something that's going to melt. I thought, do you know what, I can do this without melting them. No, I can't. So you are definitely going to need something metal, something that will protect your hand from any heat, and just to make sure that you are staying safe. So you'll need those, and then you're going to need some form of heat. So I'm using one of these, which is like a sort of creme brulee gun that you might get in the kitchen, and it's sort of gas powered. And you just top it up with gas and then you use it. These are actually really useful in craft. I've used them for another project involving CDs, which I'm going to show you at some point when I can get outside and it's warmed up a little bit, because it's one of those activities you definitely don't want to be doing inside, but that's for another day. So just a little health and safety warning about this. We are going to be using a flame. We are going to be burning paper, so you definitely want to make sure that you've got some water beside you, just in case there should be, in case they do set on fire. Once the paper is rolled, it doesn't set on fire as quickly as you think it would. So you can control it by moving it in and out of the heat. But also just bear in mind of what you have surrounding you. So please make sure you don't have anything that's hanging down that could catch fire. Please make sure that you move any chemicals out of the way that could be flammable. Make sure that you don't have your hair in the way, that, everything that's plastic is out of the way, and that you are doing it in a well ventilated area. And if you are asthmatic like I am, just be careful of the smoke that comes off, which is another reason for doing it in a well ventilated area. So without further ado, I will roll a set of beads and then we can get playing. Okay, so once you've got your beads ready, we're now going to begin the fun process of torching them. And I made one more bead similar to these ones because I just needed to use the paper up, so I thought I would, just to match those. And then I have got these beads which are made out of the book paper. So we'll torch those. So we'll do this one first. I've let the glue dry, so you only need to use your sort of needle nose pliers or a metal knitting needle, something that you don't mind if it gets a little bit singed. So just make sure that you have cleared the decks, that there's nothing flammable in the way, and you're going to need your torch. And I'm going to try and get this on camera, so to make sure everything is out of the way. So you probably can't see this, but you can hear it. I'll bring this in. Can you see how it starts to smoke and you start to singe it? And if it starts to get a little bit too much, you can just blow on it and it blows the smoke out. And there we go. There's our singed bead. That's it. Simple as that. So what I'll do is I will show you the rest. Just give this a second or two just to cool down. You know, it's warm to the touch, but I can hold it. So let's have a go at these. I'm interested to see how these come out. So when you pop it in, just be careful. So again, I'm going to turn my torch on, and you can't see the flame, but the flame is a kind of blue flame, so it's not such a, it's more of a heat rather than the golden flame. So again, you just want to make sure that you are turning it, and you'll get a bit of a feel for how the paper goes. Interesting, I could see that moving. From the sides, go. So I can see that some of these edges, and that's probably where they had a bit of a coating on them. That's fine, I'm going to leave that like that, and I will just brush that off later. So that's number one. Let's try another one. Okay. I don't know if I'm staying in the camera whilst I'm doing this, but I hope you'll forgive me because I'm more interested in making sure I don't burn myself and I don't burn any of the equipment, but hopefully you're getting the idea. So let's try one more. Okay. Just keep turning the bead in the flame. It starts to get too hot. Just turn the bead. I can see that it is starting to unravel slightly. Interesting. Down the top. Okay. Singed beads. So I will do the last ones and then I will be back to show you the next step. Okay, so they are all finished and I've given them a little tidy up and mounted them on a cocktail stick, and I had one casualty, and this happened when I heated it and it just sort of sprang open, and I'm guessing I must have either not put enough glue on it, or when I heated it it kind of dislodged the glue, but I can sort that out later. I could probably, I mean, it's quite a pretty pattern. Don't really know what I'd do with it like that, but that is quite cute. But I can easily re-roll that later on and sort that out or I could turn it into a really big bead by separating those out. I don't know. It's kind of giving me a bit of food for thought, but I still have 5 of them. 5 of them is great, plus my extra one that I did, just to match the other ones. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glaze these, and I was thinking that what I would quite like to do is to just give them a glaze with a very slight tint to them. So I have got a piece of plastic here which I'm going to use to make my own glaze. Now I did a video, and I'll put a link to it above. I did a video last week in which I showed you how to make your own custom glazes, so I'm going to do something really similar today. So I'm just going to get some of this triple thick out, which is the one I've chosen to use because mainly the difference between that one and the decoupage is that the decoupage has a more yellowy colour to it, and I didn't want the yellowy colour for this because I want these to be quite pale colours. I didn't want the yellow colour to it. So I'm going to take some of this, and I have got, and again I talked about these mica powders in the tutorial that I did last week. I'm going to take this one which is teal, and I really don't want much, like that much, because I just want to add a slight colour, not a lot. And then I've got this one which is called corn, and you'd think corn would be kind of yellow, but this is more of a kind of gold. It's a sort of gold, basically. Nice warm gold colour. Again, I don't want much. Just going to take a bit, which of course is easier said than done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paintbrush, and these beads will have more than one coat, but my first coat is going to be a slight tinge coat. So I'm going to mix these up. I do want this to be a really subtle colour. I don't want it to overpower the colour that is already on the beads that we've worked quite hard to get. So let's have a little look. Not quite what I was expecting, but we'll see. Okay. So I always like to work in a downwards motion when I make this kind of bead, because what I'm also doing is I'm getting the glaze to fill in all of the gaps. So if there are any gaps in the beads where you've rolled, or where they've slightly come apart, or if you've got ridges, when you work downwards, this will fill it in. So my first layer is just to get some pigment on, or just to get some glaze on. So I always kind of go in a little bit heavy-handed, but then wipe back. Like so. Let's do the other side. Again, working in a downwards motion. And the glazes really bring out the colour of the sort of charring that we did. I'll show you the two side by side, and I'm hoping that by adding just a little bit of the gold mica, it will just pick up a little bit of colour. Let's have a look at these side by side. They're like so. I just think it kind of brings out the colour. Like so. Okay, so it's about to put that one down. Let me bring my, let's move that out of the way. Let me bring my oasis over. So this is my piece of oasis that you would use for flower arranging, and I just put my beads in when I am glazing them. So I'll just put that off, and we'll do one more. Again, going in a downwards motion so that we are filling in those gaps. And this will also help to stabilize your bead. As you could see when we were when I was torching these beads, some of them slightly, I could see they really slightly unwound a little bit from being as tight as they had to be. So I need to make sure that I am definitely getting my glaze in those gaps and just making the bead as stable as possible. They're not loose, I checked, but just to be on the safe side, we're just filling in those gaps. So again, scraping the excess off, because this is just our first layer, just to give a slight hint of colour. So I'll go ahead and I will glaze the rest of them and I'll be back. Okay, so we are completely finished, and it's been a day or two since I've done them, and they've had plenty of time to dry. So I put only one layer of that glaze that had the addition of the mica powder, and then I've put 2 further layers which were just the triple thick, just to seal them over, and they've turned out better than I had hoped. I absolutely love them. I think they are my favourite beads I've ever made. They remind me of ceramic. They remind me of the sort of pottery and the glazes that you can get, and I love that look. I did a City and Guilds in ceramics many years ago, and if I could find somewhere to go back and do ceramics, I would. There's just nowhere really around here, but I absolutely love these, and I hope this has given you some ideas on beads that you can do. I'm just leaning across the camera just to be really awkward. So this was the original set that I had made, and I've added that extra bead that I did, and then this was another set that I made, and this was one that I made really slightly differently. I added a thick blob of a glaze which had some mica powder in it, and then I heated the glaze, which caused it to bubble up, which has created this funky dunky texture, which again I love. It's like raku pottery. Really loving this technique, and I hope it's given you some ideas on what you could do. I think these beads have turned out really nicely, and I really like them. I hope you'll have a go at trying using some mica powders to create just that real subtle change to your glazes. And I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you'll get notified of any subsequent videos that come up. Trying to do them about once or twice a week at the moment. So there's lots of new ones coming with lots of funky ideas for things that we can make and do. So without further ado, I'll leave you to go and do something else. Bye!